So, a cool table today. The Westerly Public Schools School Building Subcommittee meeting for Wednesday, October 9th, 2024 to order. The time is 6:01. Members present are Steve Marone. Welcome, Steve. Have you been at a building committee? The last one. Sorry. Welcome again. I'm going to welcome you every meeting. Cindy Kirchhoff, Kristen Federico, Giuseppe Giancarelli, Michael Ober, Audrey Fober, Chris Lund, Dr. Mark Garceau, Mark McKinnon, and myself, Justin Hopkins. We also have Deb Reading from Downs and Randall Luther from TSKP.
Is Randall here?
Am I invisible?
It's a running joke.
Oh. All right. First order of business is approval of the meeting minutes from September 25th. I trust you all had the opportunity to review these, and if there are no modifications, we'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
I abstain.
I did too.
Me too.
Okay. 1, 2, 3 abstentions. We'll clean that up later. Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is public comment. We have no members of the public present this evening, so we will get to approval of invoices. So I sent out Downs update yesterday. I did get some weird bounce backs. Did everybody receive the packet from yesterday? I had some spam filters say that there was bank information in the attachment, so it was being bounced back, but
No.
okay. Hopefully it wasn't my bank information that was
My
crazy.
request for your direct deposit
Right.
is my account.
Okay, so we have a number of invoices. The first being, first being application for payment number 2 for field turf revised for pre-construction design services, specifically for the topographic survey for Algeria Field through September 2024 in the amount of $5,500. This amount includes a negotiated deduct of $2,000. Total bill to date, is this correct? 30, so this is the pre-con stuff. Deb, anything else you want?
Speak to this? Absolutely. This was an outstanding, I think it was one of the, part of the pre-construction, which was actually invoiced separately. I have to say that I'm not absolutely sure on that, but I see Cindy nodding her head. And this was the remaining balance on it. We'd asked questions, it kind of went away, and came back looking for it, and we pressed it, and Cindy made a very good point. Did you ever give the topographic survey to the town? They couldn't prove that they did, so they actually deducted the $2,000 off that. But that was for all of their pre-construction and including that topographic survey. So they deducted the $2,000. This was the balance of what we owed them for their pre-construction design.
Okay, any questions to Deb on this one? And this is drawing from already allocated funds, this portion, correct?
Right.
Okay, if there are no further questions, we'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved. Second.
Okay, any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, any opposed? None, motion carries. Next invoice, Collier's Project Leaders, invoice number 987277 for commissioning services at State Street through September 30th, 2024 in the amount of $3,080, representing 17% of their contract. Any questions for Deb on this one? Okay, hearing none. Is there a motion to approve this invoice?
So moved.
Second. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? None. All right, now we'll get to some bigger ones. Tower construction, application for payment number 3 for Dunn's Corner Elementary School and Springbrook Elementary School through September 30th, 2024 in the amount of $827,515.02. 2 cents is very critical on this one. Representing a total bill to date of approximately 26.81 of the total contract for both Dunn's and Springbrook. And I trust this has this been certified by?
It's been through a few revisions, yes, by Ashley.
Yes.
Yes, he doesn't sign off until you approve, but it has been
Okay.
through the gauntlet, yes.
Okay, so with all these payment applications, I think the assumption for the subcommittee is that this has already made the rounds.
Absolutely. I will bring
through
forward anything
OPM,
that hasn't been reviewed. approved.
Architect,
Right,
okay,
by the architect,
great.
the CA.
Okay, are there any questions regarding this one? Okay. Would anybody like to make a motion to approve this?
So moved. Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. Next, commercial roofing, application for payment number 4 for Springbrook Elementary School roof replacement through September 30th, 2024 in the amount of $106,666, representing 97% of the total contract. So I'm assuming we're pretty much
Right.
good.
Almost there.
Okay. Any questions for Deb on this one? And if not, who would like to make that motion?
I do. I don't know what I'm making. What's
The,
I make a motion to.
just,
So moved.
so moved.
Second.
Yeah. This, again, for everybody, this is the roofing contractor's payment application for Springbrook. Okay, so I think the motion's been made. Was there a second? Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. Next, DBVW invoice number 2318-16 for professional services for Dunn's Corner Elementary School and Springbrook Elementary School through September 2024 in the amount of $52,117.90. I'm assuming this is just our monthly CA
Exactly.
allocation, okay? Any questions for Deb on this one? Okay. Would anybody like to make a motion to approve this?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None. Next one, DBVW invoice number 2356-07 for professional services for the Springbrook Elementary School roof replacement through September 2024 in the amount of $5,000. And I'm assuming this again is just
For the CA.
the construction administration. So I'm going to assume that there are no questions on this and we'll entertain a motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. Next, TSKP invoice number 230601-14 for professional services for State Street Elementary School through September 2024 in the amount of $12,678.47. Anything to note on this invoice?
That's
Okay.
your monthly CA.
Okay. Okay, would anybody like to make a motion to approve this?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. Okay, so the next one are 3 invoices. I'll list them off. We'll handle them all as one motion because they're all part of the same consultant. Prime Consulting Testing and Inspection Services at Dunn's Corner Elementary School and Springbrook Elementary School through September 30th, 2024 in the amount of $20,122.96, which represent invoice number 23149 for Springbrook in the amount of $6,481.40, invoice number 23148 for Dunn's Corner in the amount of $8,564.84, and invoice number 23147 for State Street in the amount of $5,076.72. There will be a quiz on all these amounts. This is for our testing agency to conduct our materials and
Absolutely,
inspections.
all from concrete through compaction and through continuous inspections of welding and connections at the steel frames.
Okay. If there are no further questions for this, we'll entertain a motion to approve all 3 invoices in one motion.
So moved. Second.
Okay. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. Okay, last one. Same rules apply as the last one. This is for Downs Construction Company. We have 4 invoices, and we'll take them all as one motion. They're invoice numbers 13 for OPM services through September 2024 in the total amount of $29,165. For Dunn's Corner Elementary School in the amount of $7,160. Springbrook Elementary School in the amount of $7,160. State Street School in the amount of $13,395. And Springbrook Elementary School roof replacement in the amount of $1,450. Any questions to Deb on this one? And if not, is there a motion to approve these invoices?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None. Okay, so that concludes the speed round of invoice approval. We can pay the bills. Next item on the agenda is item number 6, owner's project manager / architect update.
Thank you. So Ashley is not with us tonight. We gave him the night off since he's been here continuously for the last 4 months, I believe. So a quick update. Springbrook, we have completed the foundation for the additions. We're scheduling the slab pours. They are working second shift today, cutting through the temporary partition in the library so that we'll have access to the new addition for the media center. And as we know, just as a side note, on the roof, they're just finishing up the exterior trim at the roof and the downspout installation, and then we'll be done. So that's what's going on at Springbrook over at Dunn's Corner. It's about the same. Right now, we are waiting for a final approval on the kitchen equipment under slab design so they can finish up their drainage and their conduit for the electrical. Once they have that in place, which they have most of that already in place, once they have that finalized, they'll be pouring the slab there. And we just approved mostly Ashley, just approved the submittal for the exterior framing today. So they'll be starting to enclose the building. And they're putting the roofing on their schedule as well. At the rear of the school, they are out there right now working on the detention system. They've got the sand in place. There's some compaction testing going on back there. And once that system is in place, they'll be moving over to the new septic system. That's about what's going on site. Update on our meeting. It was very successful with the Governor's Commission. Thank you, Justin, for everyone else who was on that call. And we were able to get their approval to move forward with engineered wood fiber for the playgrounds, which is a win for our projects, so that we don't have to absorb that cost. So we need to, I don't know at what point we submit that letter, Justin, but there'll be a letter we need to create and have on file or submit to someone before they enter the project, saying that we will be maintaining the WF.
So just to be clear on this one, it's most Rhode Island up till this project, and I guess any current projects that are going through the Rhode Island Governor's Commission on Disability Review has accepted engineered wood fiber as an accessible product, meaning that you can, individual can navigate a wheelchair on top of it. There are certain things that are inherent in that understanding, which is that the people responsible for maintaining the engineered wood fiber are rolling it, are raking it, making sure it's not getting, holes or dips in it. Recently, the Governor's Commission has taken the position that this is not an accessible product. State of Connecticut does. The product literature still does for engineered wood fiber, saying that it meets ADA. Part of this meeting was a general acceptance that they don't really have jurisdiction. Well, they do not have, I'm trying to think of how I can put this kindly. Their jurisdiction is advisory, and ultimately the final determination is up to the local authorities having jurisdiction, but also the owners are compelled by federal law to comply with the Americans with Disability Act, which means if there is a violation that is noted or a lawsuit in the future, the district needs to account for accessibility. So as part of the negotiation with our local state body, the Governor's Commission, Dr. Garceau is going to issue a letter basically saying that the district has a commitment to maintain the engineered wood fiber, and will take and assume that responsibility to make sure that all the playscapes are fully accessible. So that's what kind of got us over the hump. I rattled the change can a little bit to say, you know, this was funded many years ago. It didn't account for these type of things.
Well, absolutely. And they're there for assistance with any future projects to help design accessibility for the playgrounds if needed, or another part of the building, I'm sure. The roof project, we are expecting completion by the end of the month. They're telling us the 25th. It's a little slow going around that perimeter of the roof right now, but they seem to be doing a very good job, and we certainly don't want to rush them.
The cupola is the one that's taken the longest to finish.
Yeah.
What school?
Springbrook. And they do have the working louver at the rear of the cupola is a long lead time item. That probably won't be in until possibly November, but they'll cut that in later and put it in, so really won't be noticeable from the backside. There's 3 non-working louvers around the front. So that'll be done finally. And, that's about it for those 2 projects. And I'll hand the floor over to Randall, who can tell us all about State Street.
State Street.
Which is very exciting.
So I don't know, everyone's probably been by State Street. There's a lot of big equipment out there. They finally got started in earnest. They stripped the topsoil and they've taken it to the site contractor, stripped the topsoil and taken it to his yard. And they're preparing the subgrade for the ground improvement, which are aggregate piers. In case you don't recall, the whole site is all filled. It's pretty much junk. And we had 2 choices. We could either take everything out and then bring it back to structural fill, or go with these reinforced sort of aggregate piers. That's what we went for some considerable savings. So that work will begin next week. They did some test pits for the aggregate pier to go look at, and our geotechnical engineer came out and checked. In addition to all the borings we've done, they did some test pits. And the material is actually even a little bit better than what we assumed, so that's all positive. So the thing that we've been talking about the most probably for the past 2 or 3 weeks is the soil itself and how that's supposed to work. Just a little bit of a history lesson. When we started the project, we did a phase 1 environmental assessment to see if there was any concern about historic uses that were sometimes like it had been an old farm. The concern might be that there were pesticides or something, or a dry cleaner or something. The phase 1 said there's absolutely no historic use whatsoever that is of any concern. So we decided that we weren't going to go testing for hazardous materials because, quite frankly, in a lot of New England, normal background levels for some materials are above the residential criteria, and so you can have soil in the middle of a forest that's never seen anything. It could be above the residential criteria for, say, arsenic or some other heavy metal. So generally, if you don't have a reason to test, you don't want to go testing because you might find something that you don't want. So since we weren't testing, the strategy was going to be that we're going to take all the material and take it to the landfill. And Deb and Justin had talked to the landfill and during design. They said, yeah, we'll take the material. And the reason we did that is because as the generator, which the town of Westerly is, any material that leaves the property of the town of Westerly, you are the generator, and you own that material forever. So if it had, say, high levels of arsenic, for example, and somebody took it off site and used it as fill for a new playground, and then later on somebody tested it, had arsenic, the town of Westerly would be on the hook to come out so that wherever it is, and clean up that site. And so we don't want the town of Westerly to have that risk. So the intent was we'll take it to the landfill. The catch was that the specs were not written as tightly as I would have liked. And although it said you could take it to the town of Westerly landfill and they will waive any tipping fees, it didn't say you had to take it to the town. And so there were some discussions early on that they might want to take the material elsewhere. And we said, oh, you don't want to do that. We went round and round. And eventually they agreed that they will take all the material to the landfill. The only exception is, for example, the topsoil, because they're going to want to reuse the topsoil on site. So they've taken that to their yard, it will stay there, and then it will come back at the end of the job in phase 2. But it took a while for us as a group to understand why we were doing what we're doing. The contractor couldn't understand if we didn't test it, why did we care? Precisely because we didn't test it, we care, because we don't know. And anyway, so we worked through that, and we seem to be in a good place. Last time I was here, I think we talked about the temporary measures that were needed to get the school open, some fencing, some gates, some striping. And at that time, this committee approved a not to exceed change order for, I think it was like $32,000. We got the final number, it's $12,319, so well underneath the limit and within the allowance that we had, although there's some conversation about whether we want to use the allowance now or later, but we're well within that $32,000. The only other issue that we're working through, in addition to all the submittals that we're trying to stay on top of, is the senior parking lot, which we talked about. We had approached O&G and said, there might be a deal here for you that if you agree to make some improvements, the town will let you use the parking lot. So we talked to our engineer and said, what would it take to solve this problem? We said, well, let me check with the town engineer and see what he has in mind. The town engineer said, I want you to connect to the street. That took a little bit of while, and so our engineer put together a fee proposal for O&G to pay him to design a solution that O&G would do in exchange for use of the parking lot. But O&G doesn't like that option. They think it's going to be expensive and maybe not worth it. They would rather connect back to the detention basin that we're building as part of our school as an overflow. And so I'm not quite sure who's negotiating this anymore. I mean, on one hand, the town could just say, forget it. Just you can park there. We don't care. We'll talk to the senior center and make it okay, and it'll help O&G. It'll make the job a little bit easier for them, but they're not entitled to that, and so that's why I always thought there was an opportunity here. It is becoming much more complicated than I think I imagined. I was thinking a dry well that would be what they'd have to do. And now they're talking about excavating out into the street, patching the street signage, storm lining the street. It's a fair amount of work, plus the design fees from our engineer. They're looking at it going, I don't know if I want to do that. So I'm not sure. They have the fee proposal from our engineer, but like I said, they think it's going to be too much work, and I don't know. Should I be negotiating with them to now look at connecting back to our structure, or we say, look at it?
Well, yeah, if I may.
Yeah.
First, we'll rewind real quick on the topsoil. They did bring the topsoil that they anticipated reusing on the project over to Di Gregorio's yard. Sean Cannon talked to me. He would feel better about that topsoil being stored at the town landfill. So it is going to be moved at O&G's cost. And honestly, we had a little back and forth. Most of it was moved on Wednesday. We had talked on Monday and Tuesday about them taking everything to the landfill. So they basically committed, and they're joking, Phil's being fantastic about it. He is saying, no, we'll have it all moved over there if that's what Sean would like to see. And they do need them to actually set some aside, though, or have true topsoil available for me when I need it. Right. So we are actually meeting on site tomorrow morning with the project manager, Joe Vitro, and Sean, our recruiting going to be there, and we're going to be talking about this, including Anthony DiGregorio. He's going to be there as well. So we're going to have a little chat about the moving of the soil and any future work on site, how that's going to work out, and what Sean's anticipating. At the same time, I told him, I said, Sean's going to be there. He was very helpful with the drainage for the Sherry Field. I said he may either volunteer some services here to bring something out of the street that you can connect to over there, or he may have some ideas as well. So he was the one, he's actually been waiting for us to resolve this issue, to go talk to the senior center for us. So it's a good time, we'll be right there, we can talk about this a little bit and pick his brain as to what he thinks the options are.
He's probably the one to negotiate.
So, yeah, keep everyone updated on that.
So that's it. I mean, you said you're feeling some vibrations. You might feel a little bit more when the aggregate piers are going in, but that should probably take maybe a week or two. And then it'll probably be a little bit less in terms of vibration. You might start hearing the backup noises of, and those beeps can be a little irritating, but that'll be
I don't
fine.
think we hear that with the kids, but we definitely feel the vibrations.
Audrey was, of course, as always, taking the situation and making a great opportunity out of it. She made a little cartoon.
Yeah, I Googled aggregate piers. It was a great kid-friendly cartoon video, and I sent it out. I said, show your students what's going on back there, and they've been watching the video.
Yeah, because
Oh,
they were
that's
not
great.
scared.
Yeah, they didn't know what
You
was
tell
going
them
on.
what's
Yes, in a similar vein, we had a project where we had geothermal wells, and we worked with the kids, and then the kids gave a presentation to the Board of Education in Connecticut, which is like the school committee, and how geothermal wells work. And it was very interesting, so maybe there's.
Future presenters.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Anything else? Any questions? Deb has been pushing ONG to get an application for payment. They've been doing work for a while. They're having a little bit of trouble getting out of the gate.
Actually, Joe admitted it was his fault last time. He said he said he's not very popular right now. He gave their accounting department all the wrong cost codes, so they have to reset up the entire job. So expect to have one this week. I mean, just do not make that first one 5 million. You're gonna have problems. So.
Yeah. So that'll start coming regularly, I expect soon.
Well, if it's worth getting this in the pipeline, we have 3 more meetings for the year. Okay, so we have our second meeting in October, and we have 1 meeting in November, 1 meeting in December. So I think, if everybody knows the schedule, I don't think that we should rely on any special meetings to approve.
Absolutely, yeah. Absolutely, and I'd like to I don't want them to be off, so, I mean, for this first one, just to get the bugs out, he wants to get it to me this week, and maybe we'll look at it the next meeting, but I want to get in line with everybody else, so we have 1 meeting that we're just doing invoices.
Good.
Thank you.
I'll bring pictures next time.
Okay, good. And how is pickup drop off?
It's been great. It's been very smooth. Parents are patient. Buses are unloading up. So far, we've been okay rain-wise, and we'll see. It's been very smooth.
Excellent.
And all the parents are okay with it?
Yeah.
Because I know the kids are okay with it.
Yeah. Kids are fine. No,
Yeah,
parents are
no-
fine. They, no complaints.
Is parking an issue for staff?
Hasn't been, I don't have no hundred that with that.
No, I mean, no one said
Hasn't been.
anything. No complaints. We had our big open house, couple hundred families, and nothing. They just parked on the side roads, not in the senior center.
That's it?
Well, you also have on here,
Right.
or one of these, well, I guess it's an action item.
Oh, apologies. I apologize. We do have an action item here. And after a lot of discussion about fire department meetings and getting through Springbrook and then Dunn's Corner, I presented Chief Mackey with the Westerly Fire Department with a reduced cost for his fee. And this was the same methodology that he had approved Springbrook. And it was basically the items that would be under his purview, which, would be framing, openings, the structure, obviously the mechanicals, the electrical, the fire suppression, the fire alarm, all of that. So I gave him the values for those. There was excluded site work, it excluded foundation, all of those other items that they don't look at. And he was amenable to it. He actually came back and he saved us quite a bit of money because it could have been upwards of $120,000 for the fire department fee, and he agreed to $64,000. So tonight I'm asking for approval to issue payment because they cannot release the permit until they pay this fee. So this would be $64,282.12 paid to the Westerly Fire Department for their review fee.
Any questions on that?
Still frustrating. $60,000 is stuff going to our project, or not now. What about, that's just Westerly, what about Dunn's Corners?
Dunn's Corners already been approved, paid. We have a permit. So we have a permit at Springbrook, we have a permit at Dunn's Corners.
So in total, we have paid approximately $110,000.
Yeah, it'll be about 110, 114.
No, I know you do, but.
I will say, I think there was a greater, as much as I think this one is tough, it is approximately 50% of what they are entitled to charge us, whereas the one that we approved last meeting, we got maybe a 5% discount.
I'm sorry, right, we did negotiate on that with them.
So, at this point, the best thing that we can do is move this along. And if we have the opportunity to voice our opinions in the future on these things, I think we can still do so. For the record, I've officially requested what plan review fees have been done for the DPW facility, the beach pavilion, the original middle school project, and the high school renovation, and basically any public project that has been done in the last 20 years, because I know the answer to that, but I'd like somebody to tell me.
You can't say what you know the answer is, how is it?
It's what my educated guess is.
Someone did speak at the town council meeting the other night in favor of us and not having to pay, and
Yeah, the town manager, to his credit, has been in these meetings and doing what he can. He understands, I think, our position. But here we are. So I think we should need a formal vote to allocate these funds.
I think so,
Okay.
we did on the other ones.
Okay. Would anybody wish to make that? You can say begrudgingly, it's okay.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
Aye.
I,
So that is 8-2. Okay, anything else, Deb?
No, that's it, thank you.
Okay. Next item on the agenda is capital projects update.
I'd like to talk about the Westerly vestibule project we did, specifically the middle school. The Dunn's Corner Fire District has issued a violation. And it's essentially, the wording is, it's the second one, Mike. A required main entrance egress door was removed without consultation, notification, approval, or permit. So that was our violation for the vestibule. I do have a permit on that next slide, Mike. You can see that it was issued in June. Apparently, the fire marshal did not get to review the plans before this was issued to us. So, what he is stating, and I gave everybody a handout, it is, we had 3 sets of exit doors. We removed a pair of exit doors to create the vestibule. By the calculations he is stating, at 7 square feet per person, we are under the maximum threshold, which is the last one. We kind of go through some of the numbers here. The original math that was used was 15 square foot per person. There are codes that state 15. We have expressed this. We've met with them a couple of times, and we've requested to go to the board for a variance, which he was not supporting. He does say that 15 square feet per person is correct, but we also have to use 7. So by his calculations, if you look down the bottom there, the way the code reads, if you enter the building and go to the auditorium, and there's an emergency, the code says half of that population goes back the way they came. So in the auditorium where I have a fixed seat count of 400, 200 of those have to go back to the main entrance. And so for the school hours, we have no issues. This becomes an issue when we use his calculations to put the maximum amount of people in the cafeteria, the auditorium, and the gymnasium at the same exact time. By his numbers, we can get about 1,882 people in those 3 spaces at one time. And they would not be able to exit in an emergency based on the code. So he's making us put the doors back in that we took out. We are trying to go to the board and request a variance for this and plead our case. We do not have his support. I have not known a case to go before the board and be successful without the support of the marshal. But we're going down that road. We're going to try. We are also calculating the cost of what it is to put the doors back in. But then we don't have a secure vestibule at this point, which was the intent of this whole project. So I'm bringing this before you guys to make you all aware of where we are with the vestibule at the middle school.
Has there ever been a situation where all of those maximums have ever happened at the same time?
Not one.
No.
Not even close.
When you complete a building use form at night, can't you say, oh wait, if 1 room is booked, we're not gonna book the other room, or 2 of the 3 rooms? Can't we deny a 3rd request?
Maximum capacity
Yeah.
hosting.
And then my other question was,
Thanks for all that.
you got a permit.
Sure.
So the person who signed the permit, where's that person? That person,
It's
As a town building official.
right, but like,
even when you get a permit, it's still the obligation of the owner and the architect in this case to make sure that you're complying with safety and egress. So
didn't that say he didn't have a permit?
yeah, there's a permit, but the reality is that I don't think the fire department ever saw this plan.
He did not. He didn't review it, so therefore there was no review fee as well.
So, and this obviously came up during the whole discussion. So for everybody's education, this 50% egress is 66%, is 2/3 in Connecticut. But it is largely the result of the Station nightclub fire, where there were available exits within the building that were unused because everybody ran to the front entrance. And that's where they physically got stuck, and that's where the tragedy occurred. So also building officials, Randall can probably attest to this, there's been a higher amount of attention being paid to assembly spaces and with their respect to community use outside of school hours, to make sure that we are utilizing some of these assembly occupancies in the calculation of our public spaces within the schools, so that for the reason if there's an open house with, it's very rare that anybody is ever going to see these levels of occupancy in a building, but you don't know. We're compelled to consider simultaneous occupancy. The one thing that you could probably do with the avenue that you may be able to take is to post the assembly limits in each space, because the cafeteria is rarely going to have, will never have 500 people. 531 people. You could probably ask if you can post the occupancy so that you get under your threshold.
And that's kind of what some of the calculations on the sheet say.
Mm-hmm.
If you lower the cafeteria, you can raise the gymnasium. So we're trying to find the balance on where the maximum needs to be. But again, the gymnasium was almost 1,000 people in there. I don't know if you could even fit that if you wanted to. There's 3 rows of benches to watch a basketball game.
The other thing, but there may be a dance or a rave.
At the same time of the theater going on and
But you
whatever
kind of
else.
have control of
We do have control of that with the signing of the building use form by the principal, and then it comes to the district, and then it's in the system to
Do you even have
alert
any
you.
chairs?
I don't have that many parking spaces. So I did a little math. We have 93 parking spaces. That includes the loading dock and everywhere else in this one. So for that amount of people to come, they have to be 9.5 people deep in a car.
So between what you just said with the posting of the max capacity, and perhaps what you post on that can be included, like Audrey said, in the building use form, because it's something you can control. That, I think, is an important thing. It's not like you can't control it. You can.
So you have a current egress capacity of 680 people. So the way that this was I would also argue that there is a provision in the code that if you don't, the 50% for a main entrance is predicated on a recognizable front door to each space. And most people that are coming to the gym know that their front door is through the vestibule and take a right and go into the gym there. The auditorium, you go in, you kind of do a little zigzag and go into the auditorium. Everybody recognizes that those are the front entrances. I would make the argument that the cafeteria is far more used, the one door going out to the front, especially having sons that have wrestled there after, as a practice space. Most kids go out of the direct means of egress. So in that case, you can divide the occupant load up according to all equally. So you don't necessarily need to account for 50%.
Are they trying to invite them here?
I think it would be helpful if, is the Studio Jade, be helpful if they kind of took that tact. I agree with you that it's very difficult when you don't have local approval to win an appeal. Your hardship in this case is that it's a safety upgrade to make a secure vestibule. And the hardship would be that you would be making the building less safe by incorporating it. Lesson learned here, I think, is that let's make sure that these folks are reviewing every project, even if it's a relatively benign security vestibule update. I think this is the attention got a little heightened based on all the other conversations that we've been having in the district on this one. So I think there's an opportunity to negotiate this with these guys. When would the hearing be?
We haven't even got to that point yet. We had our meeting with them to discuss what the occupancies maximums would need to be. We left that meeting feeling good, like we were gonna get his support and he was gonna hand a number to us. He went back to the school and had his wheel and he was measuring distances. But then we got an email saying he wasn't gonna support it. So we're trying to go back to him now to find out why and get a meeting with him to understand more what we need to do for the board.
I mean, the short answer is that if you utilize the kind of assembly unconcentrated chairs and tables, which is the 15 number versus the just chairs, which is the 7 number, you would have what, 844, 1052? Did I get that right? No. 1092. So if you simply use the fixed seating in the auditorium and the 15 square foot capacity and said you're comfortable posting that number in each room, you would, and then divide that by 50%, that would get you to, you would have your egress capacity. I think there's a legitimate concern that we have that we need to make the front entry secure. And that hopefully is the room for negotiation on this.
I'm sure there will be families and parents who will not be happy that, I mean, I don't know that matters to anyone, but that you're being kind of forced to make a school less secure. I mean, that's a huge issue right now. So
just playing devil's advocate, I think the position of our partners at the fire district would be, I hear you, had you come to us to begin with, we might have been able to come up with a different solution. So it's.
Right, but here we are.
Yeah. So I don't know if I've called Tracy a couple times just to say, if you need me, let me know. I don't know if it's a simple, half-hour conversation with the folks about posting the occupant load. Also reiterating the use forms or the use process.
That was going to try to be explained in the report. We would have procedures in place to not allow that to ever happen.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, okay. I mean, the reality is if we have 700 kids, 750 kids that are in the school, and each kid brings 2 family members, you're suddenly at 2,100 people in the building. It's never going to happen.
Right, they break
That's
it
the
up.
building who has
Right, so
means
what?
of egress for all of that. It's only when they're concentrated in these 3 locations.
Right, because that was, the only time that would happen, which you're right, they break it up, would be like an open house. But they do it by grade levels, so.
I think there's a level of common sense here that can get us to an appropriate solution. I think it involves posting the occupant load in the assembly spaces. And, to the letter of the law, these guys are probably correct. My assumption is that when the building was first, the occupant load was first generated for this, they used the 15 square feet per.
We look on the plans and do exactly what they use.
So they're utilizing a different factor to recalculate the occupant load of the building.
Yeah. To get this number to post, I get that from my local marshal, correct?
Yeah. Everybody knows what I'm talking about. You've seen it probably thousands of times, I think the Cali Club has one of these, yeah. Okay.
That's it for me.
Isn't that enough, Mark?
Yeah, it sure is.
Okay, any questions to Mark? Hang in there. I know that these are not fun conversations, but. Okay, next steps. I don't really have anything to communicate for next steps. I'll open it up to anybody how do you want to see upcoming meetings? So we'll have our next meeting in 2 weeks on the 23rd, and then we'll have a meeting on the 13th of November. We will not have a meeting on the 27th. It's the day before Thanksgiving. We'll have a meeting on December 11th, and we will not have a meeting on Christmas.
Justin, when do we start talking about the capital improvement projects with the air conditioning? I know we improved it going forward for just like first step, but when do those discussions begin again?
I think we can, I think it needs to go through the funding process first to get an allocation. And then it would ultimately be generated as a project. I'll be honest with you, we're kind of outside of our charter when we're talking about these particular things. But I think this is the appropriate venue to be the vehicle to kind of provide some oversight or at least a forum for these things to come up. I think it's a conversation that we need to have with the school committee about whether they want to make this committee a standing committee, like a facilities committee, rather than, we're currently an ad hoc because we're dealing with this school construction project. But along the way, I feel like we've been a pretty good resource for making sure that, you know, some level of, you know, buy-in and advice and in an advisory role with the school committee. So right now it hasn't been, it's been on my to-do list to bring it up with the school committee.
But this has to do with the, right?
It all has to do with everything.
Right.
I just don't want to get us in a, because once you start talking about a standing meeting, then you start talking about terms of members and, you know, whether or not there are different things within a charter and a way that the group is organized. So.
In the past, we have had a capital overview committee.
Mhm.
So it's not new idea, it's something we had before.
I mean, my position has been, as long as we've been dealing with these other projects, which we will be for the next several years, you know, I do not mind. I mean, we have a standing agenda item for capital projects. So, you know, we're still, it's kind of an understanding that we're providing this service to the school committee. But I do have questions about how it should be formalized with the school committee. We can ask them. Is that good enough?
Right. I guess you were just saying next steps. I didn't know when it needed to be part of the next step.
Well, we're not going anywhere. So at least for the foreseeable future, we'll continue to be reviewing them.
Right.
And perhaps it's a discussion for a little later. It's just, as soon as you have a standing committee, then there are different processes to how people become appointed, whether or not there are terms, and, you know, as much as I enjoy this, I'd like to see the primary project go.
Oh, me too. It definitely has to do with the primary
Right,
project, obviously.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else? I know that probably wasn't a satisfying answer, Kristen.
That's okay. You heard me.
Well, it is included in the stage 1 submission at both of the elementary schools.
At 2 out of 3 of the elementary, right?
State Street has the dehumidification, which I think you'll be very impressed with. So,
Okay, anything else? There will continue to be no public comment, not by decree, but by the absence of people. I should clarify that. We'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All those in favor? Aye. Thank you.